Hey y'all, DB here. Welcome back down to the Smoke Dungeon. Today, we're talking big robots. We're talking Titans. We're talking Adeptus Titanicus. And in particular, we're talking Death Merchant. So let me tell you the quick story, y'all, about Death Merchant. Death Merchant was the name of an old metal Reaver that I painted white and black back in the day. Probably in the early 90s, like 91, son, somewhere around there. And what happened with him was my brother, bless his heart, sold almost all my epic Space Marine stuff, epic 40K, you know what I mean, my tiny tank stuff. While I was in college, he sold most of that shit on eBay. And guess what? I didn't see a dime, y'all. I didn't see a dime. But one thing he didn't sell was an old Reaver Titan that I had scrawled on the base. I named him Death Merchant. And he was a metal Reaver with a multi-melta rocket launcher and I believe a power fist. He might have had a chain fist. I forget. No, he had a power fist because I painted his knuckles like a piano keyboard, yo. White and black, white and black. He was painted all white and black. And I gave him to my buddy up in RI, Cairo, up in Rhode Island, one of the Rhode Island Massive, 1/16 of the Grand Legion, all-around good egg, man of the people. I gave it to him as a gift because he has all kinds of metal epic stuff, and he still plays old school epic. And I said, you know what? To honor the Death Merchant, when I got back into Adeptus Titanicus when it came out, this was the first Titan I painted. I have since then painted about 12 or 15 Titans. But this one was the first one I painted, and he was Death Merchant. And even though I didn't paint him white and black, y'all, I think I did him justice. You know what I'm saying? I think I did him justice. So let me tell you about this dude. He is a GW Reaver Titan for Adeptus Titanicus, as you know, probably if you're watching the video this for, right? And I painted this dude with GW and Vallejo paints. There's no contrasts on this one, y'all. This one is straight McCrag blue, I believe is what this is called. And then this is a Vallejo brass. And then Vallejo silver. And this is a flesh, an old Citadel flesh paint. I forget what color it is now. It might be, I can't see that far from where I'm at. But it's like a bronze flesh or a tanned flesh. And that is primarily it, other than if you look up in here, I got some green in here and some red for the eye lenses. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, this dude is primarily detail work. I'll talk about the base in a second, but he's primarily detail work. So he was primed all black, Chaos black or Abaddon black, whatever the GW black is. And then I go over with the silver first, and I paint them in stages and then glue them together. So I go silver first, and then I go the blue, and then I go the brass or the bronze, whatever color you want. I think it's brass. I forget now, dude. But it's brass or bronze. And then I do that color in the detail work with a small brush because I find it easier to touch it up with the blue after a while. Like if you screw up and go off the line, you can hit it with the blue. You know what I mean? So I like that. And this dude, even though his armament matches the original Death Merchant, it is, part of him is magnetized. This top is magnetized. Funny story. My other Reaver Titans, the polarity is reversed. So even though the top is magnetized, I can't really swap weapons out unless I put putty on them. And that is why you should magnetize your whole maniple at once. You know what I'm saying? And then the plasma gun, the melta cannon, is actually not magnetized because I've found with the Reavers, you can just swap them in and out, dude. They like press in. You know what I mean? Of course, it won't do it now, but like boom, and he's in there. You know what I'm saying? As long as you don't throw dice at him or anything. And then his power fist, because I'm all about close combat and Adeptus Titanicus for some reason, his power fist is glued on, y'all. So yeah, the Death Merchant. And he leads a Venator maniple usually for me. Him and a bunch of Warhounds. Although I have a bunch of other Reavers. I now have, I think, 2 blue Reavers painted and a third one that I snagged from a buddy. I actually traded him a Warlord for a Reaver because I was like, whatever. I have this extra Warlord and I don't need him. And I thought it was a nice thing to do to get somebody into the game. And you'll see he has this fancy nameplate, which is from a guy in the UK. I forget his name, and I apologize. And the reason I forget your name or your company's name is because one of my friends bought this for me because I'm kind of lazy, and I wouldn't have just ordered this. But they felt it was actually my same friend in Rhode Island, 1/16 of the Grayan Legion, Cairo, who hooked me up. I think this is what he gave me in exchange for the original Death Merchant, was a nameplate for the new Death Merchant. And you'll see the base here is interesting. So it's a mix of Vallejo cold gray and gray wash that I pre-mix. And then I slather on rather liberally over a black primed, this is just sand for the most part with some rocks in it. You can see I didn't go all the way up in the toes there. And then once that dries, I go over it with a very, very, very thin red wash, and it comes out this purple color, y'all. And then it makes like, space rock dirts. I don't know, but I think it looks cool. And that is something that I stole from my man in RI, Cairo, because he's always got like these weird purples and shit on his bases that look dope. He's got all kinds of weird purples and greens. And primarily, I think he uses the airbrush, but I'm a true bristleman. I do not use an airbrush ever or at all. And so I found that if I thinned a red wash, it would do the same, But yeah, I like this dude. Love him. Love a Reaver Titan, especially this one. There was like a version of the Reavers before this that are like really boxy that I don't care for, and they can all pound sand. But these ones are dope. The old original ones are dope. It's kind of like I don't like the boxy Warhound that much. I prefer the old Beetleback one. And the Warlord, I prefer the old Beetleback or the new one. The one where he's like just got cannons like shooting out of his shoulder on like an angle. That one's rubbish too. But whatever. All Titans are cool, dude. Love robots. Any scale. Bring me your robots. I dig them. So yeah. Just wanted to share the Death Merchant with y'all. Hope y'all dig him. He's pretty awesome. Adeptus Titanicus, pretty awesome. Run those reactors hot. Be good to one another and do what you feel.